I think my biggest thing that I have to remember and that I remind myself about is to really focus on living in the moment and to have clarity about what I'm doing and where I am in life.
What do you think you could do going forward and doing it today that would allow you to be more present in your existence right now? Like, it doesn't matter that you're not at work right now, but like, what could you do? Welcome to the ReLaunch podcast. And wow, these are the moments that you just want to pinch yourself. It's when you have a guest who's come back a second time and you are sitting next to someone that you literally just adore and love. And who am I talking about? It is my one and only daughter, Rosie.
Well, not your only.
Well, one and only, Rosie.
Yes.
You're my only Rosie.
Yes.
But you last year came at the end of the year, same time, with your sister, Danny. Poor Derek has not made it on a show yet, but we did talk about it. And I thought we're going to do a little twist to it this year. You've always been somebody who has been able to manifest like the masters. I mean, you really have. And I'm kind of patting myself on the back a little because you have become a huge fan of TuneIn, of the Believe It board, which for those that don't know anything about the Believe It board first, it is you take the vision board, throw it out the window. You take the dream board, throw it out. And the only way to really have things happen in your life is to add the Believe It board into your life. And you've done it. We're going to talk about it today. But Rosie, you have like literally perfected the tune-in process. And the tune-in process, for those that are new to this, is a 4-step process to elevate your energy, to get from where you are. Every emotion has an energetic level, a vibration, and up-level yourself so that whatever you are trying to attract, whatever goals, whatever results, whatever you're trying to prioritize, elevates you. And so what would you say if I took you through the tune-in process right now so everyone could really get a good grasp on what it will do for you?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be back in the magic of share where dreams come true. But I would just say this past year has been a roller coaster for me. I graduated college, started a new job at an agency that I'm really stoked about, and we'll get into a little bit.
Talk about that.
But I think my biggest thing that I have to remember and that I remind myself about is to really focus on living in the moment and to have clarity about what I'm doing and where I am in life. And it's pretty much just to pinch myself, to remind myself that I'm not just this little human living in the simulation, just going to work every day, doing the same thing again and again, which sometimes it feels like, but that I'm actually making waves and I'm following my dreams, and that although some days are harder than others, that I need to reflect and pinch myself and remind myself to stay aware and stay in the moment and have clarity.
Oh, I think you said earlier on the hike, Mom, I just want to be present. What does present mean to you?
I think present just means to me not letting the time and the days just go by and just not waiting and working for the weekends and living for the weekends, which I think a lot of people do in my situation, where it's in many people's situation in your early 20s, just kind of entering this new chapter in your life, but actually making each day count and just not letting life just fly by, but realizing that every day has the potential to be a great day, which you've taught me. I'll give a little background. You start each day and it's a good day, but it's your decision to make it a great day. And so I think it's just pinching myself, reminding myself that I've worked super hard to be in the position that I am today, and that sometimes days are harder than others. It's a roller coaster in the work field, but to remind myself to stay present and to live in the moment and just to realize that I've worked really hard to get to where I am today, and that I need to just remember every conversation, remember every feeling that I felt when I've gotten a new project, how it feels to get that first thank you and good work,
So I love that the 4-step tune-in process. First one is your biggest challenge. We would say being present, just like really absorb, being there in the moment. Step 2 is when you literally up level your emotion, because we understand that when you have a goal or when you have a challenge, you need to be up at the level that you're trying to create. And if you're trying to be present, it means that your challenges you're not. So we have to up level you. And the way we do that is with a power song. And what would you say your power song is?
So being a girl and just a human that loves music, and I went to school and studied music, I work in music, I've always wanted to be in music. That's like, it's a pretty hard question for me because I think
There's so
my
many
power
songs.
songs, I think it just changes weekly, and you know, like different songs give me different feelings, but I think right now I would actually say it's the song That's So True by Gracie Abrams. And it's just about being yourself and like just not taking life too seriously.
Which is perfect for being present in the
Exactly.
moment.
Exactly. And so it's like all of it comes together. I mean, I've been at this company now for 2 months and I blinked and now it's Christmas. And I feel like a lot of young adults entering the workforce and the corporate world must get this feeling where it's kind of like you kind of live for the holidays because that's when you get to go home and
For
see
the
your
breaks.
family, and that's when you get to just like kind of be more present in the moment, because I feel like as new workers, you know, you're kind of just like going, and you're like the only time that you stop to reflect is when you sleep. And so when you sleep, I'm a pretty deep sleeper, so there's not a lot of thinking going on. But I think, yeah, just my biggest thing right now is like songs that just kind of like, because music has so much control over your body, over your mind, over the way it makes you feel and stuff. Like if you put on a sad song, you're gonna tap into sad moments in your life and reflecting on that. But when you just play like upbeat music that just kind of like is goofy and doesn't take anything too seriously, which I think Gracie does a good job with that with some of her songs. And so, yeah.
So if you think about you want to be present, that's your challenge.
Mhm.
Step 2 is your power song. We know through neuroscience, you got to hear it, take it through your body, move your body for at least 20 seconds to elevate, to go from wherever you are with the challenge. A challenge means you're at a lower level. And then step 3 is when you're on a stage, which is perfect for you, and you're the star, you have something that you're wearing that has a color. What would the color be?
I think so. As soon as you said that, the first color that kind of popped into my head was like a magenta purple. Just, I don't know. I feel like it's just like, I don't know. It's, but then I also, the more I thought about it, I was like my first thought was purple, magenta, but then I was like, I picture myself in red.
Which one do you want to go for?
Let's go with red.
Okay, Brett. So here's what I want you to do. Because what you're standing on, the reason you're standing on this stage is because everybody out there is listening to you explain how you overcame the challenge, how you actually became very present in your life. And they're hearing you and they're like, I want more, Rosie, I want more. And you're in that red and you're 10Xing it and you're like, sing yourself, you've got your power song. What are you feeling right now?
I think I'm just feeling like that high of just other people screaming my name, you know, like it gets that, you know, like I think who doesn't, I mean, obviously I'm sure there's a bunch of people that wouldn't want to be on stage. It would probably be their worst nightmare, but like something about, and I think me and you both, I think I got that from you, where we just kind of like other people's energy is like we just take it, you know, like we use us. Yeah, exactly. And it also can be in a bad way where it's like if someone has a bad attitude, then I'm gonna have a bad attitude, you know? Like we're like commands.
That's why you can tune in. That's exactly why. You can actually block it. But let's keep going with this.
But yeah,
So now what I want you to be thinking of is step 3 is when you're actually creating a movie in your mind. And the movie in your mind is you're in red, you're on stage, you're telling everyone how you figured out how to be present. Now we go into step 4 and you hear your song, you're elevating yourself. And step 4 is when you come up with a micro pop, an action that you can take. It's always small, very small, because success likes speed. And if it's too big, we get overwhelmed and we don't do it. So you're in a heightened level right now. What do you think you could do going forward and doing it today that would allow you to be more present in your existence right now? Like, it doesn't matter that you're not at work right now, but like, what could you do?
I think the biggest thing is just thinking of the word present, because I feel like sometimes it's like it's like you have to remind yourself, and I feel like just actively being conscious about it. So maybe a little step I could take is just having like a screensaver on my cell phone be like, stay present, just like live in the moment, because I think that's my biggest thing is just not like I forget. Like it's not like I do it consciously.
Beautiful thing.
I just forget
Yeah,
to be in the moment.
I think that, okay, so now you're going to go do that right after. But that's your tuning in. You can tune in at any time. You have always been a fan of the Believe It board. And the Believe It board is very different than a vision board, very different than dream boards. And it infuses kind of the tune in process, the emotion behind it, the activities of what it takes. You don't just think it and it happens. But can you share with us this last year, because you did the Believe It board, what were you most surprised that happened for you?
That's a hard one. I think this past year has had its ups, has had its down, whether it's in the world or whether it's in my own personal life. And I think the biggest thing that I imagined and put into the universe for myself was probably having a job that I'm really proud of out of college that like is at one of the bigger companies that I'm just proud to say where I work at. And I know that you should not care about like what other people think, but like we do live in a world where, people's opinions matter to me at least. And so I think my biggest goal was just I've always been a very go with the flow type person and just kind of like living day by day. I'm very spontaneous. And so I think my biggest goal was just to take myself seriously and just like realize that I have the potential to work anywhere that I want if I put my brain to it, put my heart to it. And so I think the biggest thing and the biggest worry of me, which I'm sure a lot of people my age felt after graduating, especially during such a crazy time in the economy, where it's really hard to get a job, and I live in LA and it's everything's so expensive nowadays. And so I think like just following through with like what I wanted to do. And there was definitely a month where I didn't hear back from any of the big companies that I wanted to work at. And then I remember you told me, because I called you and I was like, okay, I have like a list of my A-list companies, my B-list ones, and my C-list ones. Like, should I start applying to the B? Like, is it time? I had just moved into my new apartment with my girlfriends. I didn't get my first lease with them because the landlord was scared that I was unemployed, which,
Jeez,
remember
that?
And so I think just calling you and you telling me, you're like, bro, like envision yourself at your dream job, start Googling day in the lives of your dream role and just keep putting it into the universe. Obviously, keep applying, but just, visioning yourself in that position. And then probably a week or so later, I got an interview, and I had like 3 interviews in 1 week, which I'm sure many people know. Like the interview process can either go really fast or really slow. And sometimes like I remember in the moment I was like, oh, can I at least have like a day or two to like, because I was doing back-to-back interviews at the same company. And I remember just calling you, especially after every single interview I had with this company, which was like 4. And I would just, a couple of times I'd break into tears because I thought I didn't do well, over Zoom. It's kind of awkward to like feel people's vibe and just read people. And you just told me, you were like, bro, like if it wasn't meant to be, then it's not meant to be. But if you just vision yourself sitting in that desk, talking to your peers, being at that company, then it's going to happen. And you were like, if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be, and you can't see yourself.
There's something better that will come out of it.
Yeah.
And you tuned in, and the belief,
Tunes the hell in. Yeah.
and the belief is that be the person that would end up getting the job, the goal. I mean, all of
Yeah,
that.
and I think I've struggled a lot in my life with self-doubt and kind of, this for sure. I always thought that I was the dumbest one in the room in a way, and like now I look at it and I'm like, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. But
It's a great way
you
to
know,
feel.
but like I've always just had these little doubts in my brain, whether it was getting into college, and like everything has just worked out. And I think that's my biggest reflection looking back, that like the big milestones in my life, college, getting a job, like I was so worried and so stressed out that I wasn't good enough to be in my dream, living my dream life, and that like, I think it's just important to realize like reflecting of the past year that just everything works out the way it's supposed to be. And like, if you didn't get your dream job, if you didn't, like, if the date didn't go well with a guy that you thought you really liked, that like it's not the end of the world, and that like the universe and God, whatever you believe in, has a plan for you.
So I want to go back to the Believe It board around getting into your college that you ended up graduating. Do you remember that day that we initially went to visit USC and you said, Ma, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
I thought, I remember like gulping and thinking, oh my gosh, you and along with like,
Everyone.
everyone wants to go to this school. And so
Mhm.
I thought, you know what? Again, I have seen the most miraculous things happen. So I said, if this kid really wants to go there, she's going to be able to get in. She's going to be able to go there. And so do you remember what we did?
Yes. Tell us what you did.
Well,
So it was an awesome day. I knew I wanted to study music, and USC has one of the best music programs ever. And shout out to Patrice and Michael Garcia. Love you guys if you're listening. But yeah, I was walking around with my mom, and I remember like grabbing her hand and being like, "This is it. Like I feel it in my bones." And you kind of did give me that look, like, oh, like, oh boy, like I'm rooting for you. And so I remember my mom got me this little USC cheerleader stuffed animal, and she put it on my bed. And I was a senior in high school. I was like, oh, like, what is this doing here? Like, kind of tacky. And my mom was like, just keep it there, look at it every single night, and keep imagining yourself wearing that uniform to a game, just like being in the school spirit, just being at that school. And I think it wasn't just like a cute little thing that was on my bed that my mom got me, a memorabilia type thing. It was a reminder that like, if I think about something enough, then I really can put it into the universe. And I think it was just a reminder to like, every day it reminded me to think about it. Every night it reminded me to think about it and just imagine it. And it had ultimately worked out in the end, which is crazy,
well, you know what there's so much research around that if you think about something right before you go to bed, it is the best time to help your subconscious program in what you're going for. And then first thing in the morning, because you're in that alpha theta state. And I remember that day also when we were meeting all those incredible people, and there was a fountain. And I said, Rosie, close your eyes and envision yourself as a student right here, right now. And you ended up incorporating that in with the doll, with all these things. Like, I'm going to be there. Like, I am there. I am sitting in Patrice's class, which came to life. I mean, all these things. And that also happened with getting the job that you're in right now. And can we share what you're doing right now at the company?
At WME, it stands for William Morris Endeavor. It's an agency and it's international, but I work at the Beverly Hills location. Don't stalk me out there.
Yes, I love that. For all the midlifers, we're all going to be there.
Yeah.
But you did a very similar thing where you were like, this is my number one choice. You went through the process. You constantly tuned in.
Yeah. Like I said before, I made a list of like my top 10 companies that were like almost to the point of like just didn't feel reachable because of how competitive they are. And I knew that I came from a good school, but like so does everyone nowadays, like especially in the entertainment world, like it goes way beyond just getting a degree. It's like, what did you do while you were there? And like, tell me about how you are, like how would you add to this team? Because it is such a competitive job, especially in LA. And so I remember I like was going down the list. WMU was probably like number one for me just because of how respectable it is, how much like I've heard people, it's basically like the golden ticket in the music industry is what people say. It's just like if you want to become an agent, there's a clear path line where you could become an agent. If you want to do something else in the music industry after you've been there and you like realize that maybe you want to go down a different path, like management or touring, you can kind of just like, it's a really good thing on your resume and just for an experience base because you meet so many amazing people and you get such intensive training as I told you
Oh my
about.
goodness, yes.
I don't want to
Quite a
training,
yeah,
secret.
quite a training program, no doubt.
Yeah, it's just it's physically intense, it's emotionally intense. You're working 5 days a week in person, 9 to 8 p.m., and it's just like it's definitely and I've talked to a couple agents there already when just kind of like trying to meet people and stuff. And this one gentleman who's an agent said to me, he was like, yeah, like this job is not for the weak-hearted. Like you're not just, this isn't your everyday, like, oh, I work remote, like I roll out of bed every day. Like this is a job that you not only have to give 100% of your brain, you also have to give 100% of your body, not like, right, yeah.
Does that not in that
But like, but how are you?
Lead hard, highest
Yeah,
step,
you have to
your
be
whole being,
present. Like,
whole being.
it's like people are watching you at all times, your peers, your bosses, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you're not just sitting at a desk all day mute, like it's very collaborative. Your people, they want you to meet everyone. So you have to shadow people. There's like, it's just, but your fate, your destiny is in your own hand type thing. And so it's been a grind, but I have to keep reminding myself of how grateful I am to be there and how little Rosie would just be cheering me on so hard right now.
I was so impressed today when we went on the hike and you said that. You said you have to look at things differently and that's by being present, right? You could be tuning out the entire time you're at work, just being like, this is, so hard.
Yeah.
This is so hard. Ugh.
And some days, don't get me wrong, like I sometimes do tune out because whether it's like I'm having a long day or I'm tired and stuff, like I'm just kind of trying to make it to 8 p.m. type vibe, but those are the days that I come home exhausted and sad.
But you also said that you have seen yourself shift when you're tuning in and you're saying, I'm grateful. You're setting the intention of tune in,
I
right?
just look at myself in the bathroom and I just smile, like my body feels even better, like I feel less like stiff in my back, like I feel less like just my eyes feel a little less like just spacey, and stuff. And it really does, your mental state does fully affect your physical state, I've realized.
So true. Well, I have to say, this has been so much fun to have you back. This is literally almost 1 year from when we recorded
Crazy.
last year with Danny, her sister.
I also do want to ask you though, what your color is and what your song is.
So I actually have about 5 songs, and they're kind of my go-to. Right now,
Let me guess, one of them is I Am Woman.
yes. And that one is always when I want to add inspiration because it's I am invincible.
Right.
I am strong. But I have been going to This Girl Is on Fire so much lately. It's just like it picks me up. I can go into it, the chorus, and I can immediately up level myself. And I think that I shared this with you today that we are launching right now a Flip Your World in 40 days. And we're doing it's at the beginning of every single month so that you can get the inspiration. You can see what goal that you are truly trying to knock out. And it is like, we are going all in with accountability. We're going all in with tune in, all in with neuroscience, ancient wisdom, universal truths. And you and I both know, in fact, there's a book sitting on my desk right now, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Florence Scovel Shinn. We are incorporating all of that into this 40-day. And so I would actually love, because you're trying to be present, you're trying to really get to that next level. I want you to do in the next 6 months, one of the 40 days, because I think that once you start to go down this path where you're like, oh, I did that much in 40 days, you're going to be like, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. I want to do it again. So for those that are thinking, wow, I need a little jump start, I need to be able to do this, head on over to where would I send them? Right now, I would send them to ReLaunch.com, ReLaunch.com, and you can hear all about it. But I've got to say, so proud of the year you had. And you said highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. There were so many moments this year that
and I do want to add how appreciative I am of all the guidance and the wisdom that you have shared with me. I think the older you get, you realize that your parents they're not just these people that have all this wisdom, which you are, but they're also just humans too, and they're living their lives for the first time as well. And my mom has shown me so many good tips. Like I even told you guys about getting a job, getting into college, you know, like I don't think I would be where I was without you. And I do want to note, because we talked about this earlier too, and I think it's so important. And I want your viewers to, whether it's doing it with their own children or doing it themselves, my mom gave me the best piece of advice my senior year of college. I was deciding what to do for my capstone project, which in many cases, the end of college, your senior year, you kind of have to take on whether it's a senior thesis paper. And for my major, which is music, we had to do a project that had to do with music, but like wasn't just creating an app type thing, like had to dig deeper. And my mom told me that a really good idea for me that would not only benefit me, but also would probably get a good grade, which it did, is to interview. I did like 15 people that you really respect within the music industry. And so that led me to having, during my time of applying to jobs, I hit up every single person I interviewed and basically said, can I take you to coffee? Like it's been a couple months. Thank you for doing this project. I sent them their part in my paper and stuff. And it just, that was like really good advice for me.
You know, like, you know what's funny?
I think everyone should do that.
I took my own advice. And right now, I'm in the process of writing my next book. And I am interviewing. Did you know there are only, of all the millionaires in the world, only 10% of the millionaires are females. So I am reaching out to
The 10%?
not all of them. That would be a little bit much, but I am reaching out to 100 women that have been in the 7-figure millionaire club. And I am going to interview them and find out their secrets. What did they do differently to allow? And we're going to have this group of us that have been in that club, in that giving our own content around, like, this is what I did. So plan on that coming out, but I can even go further than that, like
interviewing them, but also just, I feel like getting a group of women like that, badass together, like it becoming a yearly annual thing where you guys just, you know, like I think people don't give women enough credit for their efforts and just like for how badass we are, you know? And so I think like bringing successful women together, we could really change the world, you know? Like you could go even further than that and have a panel every year and just discuss everything that needs to be fixed.
Okay, I'm loving you right now because you've just given us a ton of new ideas. And yeah, we have ReLaunch Her coming out in September. We're going to be announcing that, where we are going to be bringing these type of women.
I love it.
So
I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Well, actually, you were one the last time we did one of these, and you were amazing. So everyone, Happy New Year. I mean, this is going to be, if we all sit here and say it is going to be your best year ever so far, what would it include? And I have to say, what I have from all the different interviews I've done so far, clarity. Clarity is probably the one thing that everybody is saying. Those that are clear end up prospering more. So get clear. Happy New Year. So excited to have you. Yep, cheers. So excited to have you all a part of the ReLaunch world. And thank you for being here this last year. And thank you, honey. Mwah, I love you. If you like this video and want to get more like it, head over here.